helping you to weather good and bad economies without putting retirement on hold. This is the Tumolo Financial Podcast with Ken and Nick Tumolo. Ken and his son Nick know that creating a comprehensive financial plan can align your hard-earned life savings with your retirement goals. Consider them your retirement architects. Now, the Tumolo Financial Podcast with Ken and Nick Tumolo.
Kiplinger posted a list of the common Medicare mistakes that you should avoid. I wanted to ask you, could you go through some of the items on this list, tell us what you agree with, disagree with, and point out what we need to be aware of from your professional perspective?
Sure. Yeah. And I think it was a pretty good list. It included a lot of the things that we talk about here. And those penalties, they're a life sentence. So, yeah, you're right about that.
It's crazy to think about, but it's important to know.
So you want to avoid that.
Yeah.
But first, I just kind of want to piggyback off of what Ken was mentioning about making financial moves that can increase your Medicare premiums. That was one of the things on the Kiplinger's list. So one thing to note is you can contest the IRMA surcharge. So once you hit a certain threshold, you get that added premium onto your Part B and D premium, and that goes off your income levels from 2 years ago. So this year, 2025, they're looking at your 2023 income. We work with a lot of pre-retirees and retirees. So a lot of times people are coming in and they retired in that 2-year time period, or they're coming in and they're signing up for Medicare because they just retired. Yeah. And they're saying, hey, well, that's not fair because I'm not making the same income that I was in 2023, right? Yeah. So you can contest it. So if you stopped working in that time period, you can submit a form that says, that's not accurate income anymore. And I had a change in life circumstance. Okay. So that's something that we can help you with as well. But that is an option. So don't think that you just have to take it. Okay. That's good to know. Yeah. That's not your circumstance. Yeah. It's important. So that was one thing on the list. Another thing was keeping your Medicare Part D plan on autopilot and buying the same Part D plan as your spouse. So these two things kind of go hand in hand. And really what that's leaning towards is looking at what benefits your Part D plan has and year over year reviewing your coverage, because they all change every year. And, every company, they either cut some things or add some things in, or every Part D plan goes off a certain drug formulary. So every insurance company has a different formulary. And on that formulary, if you're on one prescription, it can be one tier, which determines your cost on one insurance company. And then on another insurance company, it could be 2 tiers higher and way more expensive. So for the same exact drug. So it's important to kind of look at that year over year and just, make sure that you're still paying the lowest cost you can for your prescriptions and that it still makes sense. And just looking at those formularies and those tiers. Another thing that we're seeing a lot this year too is drug deductibles for certain tiers. So making sure that people understand what that means for them and how that's going to affect when they go to the pharmacy, what they're paying when they pick up their prescriptions.
Would it be, in that kind of case, is that something where we could see a price break or price increases if the deductible, what does that mean?
So if there's a deductible on, and it applies to your tier of drug, then what that means is you're paying the full cost of the drug until you hit that deductible.
With the cost of prescriptions these days, you might hit that deductible on the first refill in some cases. Jeez.
And a lot of people do. A lot of people hit them right in January, which, it isn't great, but it is.
At least you knock it out. Yeah.
Exactly. I was looking at one for someone yesterday. The full cost of the drug was $1,100 for one pill. So, it's a hefty price tag. Yeah. But again, being aware of that and then just seeing, is there a plan that maybe that deductible wouldn't apply to that drug? Or, can we have a price break somewhere in there? So looking at those things. And then the same thing, don't think just because your spouse is on one plan that it's the best for you too, because you might be on different prescriptions and you might have a different circumstance. So a lot of times spouses, they do a lot of times want to stay on the same plan, because I get it. You want to, deal with one insurance company and you want to just keep things as simple as possible. But a lot of times it can make a big difference if you go on 2 different plans. So just looking at those options.
Got it.
And then another thing that list talked about was just really signing up for Medicare. So Part B is where really those penalties are the biggest and can be the biggest differentiator for people. Like we said, they're a lifetime penalty, and people get very confused about this. So I'm going to be very clear.
Yeah.
If you are working and you turn 65 and your employer or your spouse's employer, if you're covered under your spouse's coverage, if their health insurance coverage is creditable for Medicare Part B, creditable is like the big key word there. And you can find out if it is from whoever is getting that coverage from their HR benefits department, whoever kind of handles the health insurance.
Okay.
But if you have that creditable coverage and you're 65, you do not have to sign up for Part B, and you will not be subject to a penalty.
Okay.
You just have to make sure your coverage is creditable for Part B.
Okay.
So I don't want to scare people because people panic and hear about the Part B penalties. But if you have that creditable coverage, you're good until you retire or lose that coverage or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell people, please just verify that it is creditable. Don't assume, just have the paperwork and make sure that it is. You don't want to get caught by surprise later on. But if you do not have that creditable coverage, or Cobra is not creditable. So don't think that because you're covered by Cobra, you're good. You will still be subject to a penalty if you're on Cobra. So that's something that people get tripped up by too. So if you don't have creditable coverage and you're eligible for Part B, then you do need to sign up to avoid those penalties.
Okay.
So it really depends on the situation. It depends if you or your spouse are still working or have coverage through some other like retiree plan or something like that. But it's just kind of looking at those situations and seeing if you need to sign up or not. So that is something we help with. And as you're listening, if you have any questions, you can come in and we can sit down and kind of look at these things and look at your specific situation. Our number is 860-854-3434. Or you can go to tfcheckup.com. And then I will finish with just one more point, which is signing up for Medicare Part A if you want to contribute to an HSA. That can be a mistake for people. So Part A is your hospital insurance. And I see it with a lot of people that they say, oh, well, I mean, it's free if you've worked, no premium if you've worked 10 years or more in the US. And so they say, well, why wouldn't, even though I'm working, why wouldn't I just sign up for Part A and have double coverage essentially for hospital?
Yeah.
And one caveat to that is, and my follow-up question is, well, do you contribute to an HSA? And if you do, you cannot go on Medicare. So just be careful with that. They do recommend that you stop contributing 6 months before you go on Medicare, just to be safe.
It's another example, I think, of, and we talk about this all the time, people feel they're being proactive. They're trying to make the right decisions, but again, it's wrong. And so it's good to know you guys are here to help us understand that.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just, you just want to know what your specific situation looks like, what your options are, and then what potentially could, how it can affect you down the line. So you just want to look long-term as well as short-term.
Okay.
So again, our number is 860-854-3434, and we're happy to sit down with you and go over these things.
860-854-3434. We've opened up 5 spots on the calendar just for radio listeners today. Let's put a time on the calendar for your Tumolo Financial Retirement Checkup. 860-854-3434. All right, a couple minutes left before we have to go to break. But while we're on this subject of RMDs and Medicare, Ken, what other end of year items do you want people to be thinking about right now?
So I'm just say this. There's a lot to think about.
Always,
we already mentioned today the Medicare piece of it, and that it's a busy time, the RMDs. The other thing, too, and it's a really important one, and I love dealing with taxes. In fact, I had a listener come in and met with us, and he goes, Ken, why do you say taxes are fun? They're horrible. And and I'm like, but it's fun for me.
Right.
Because the thing is, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
So when a listener comes in, and they're giving us all their data, what we're doing is, how can we improve it? And so we're playing with numbers, trying to figure out, hey, can we save this person or this couple money by just doing this, or having them draw differently, or doing Roth conversions. Roth conversions are a big thing end of the year that we do. Another thing that keeps us busy at the end of the year. Accountants are busy in that February, March, April time. Mm-hmm. We're busy pretty much September to December with a lot of planning. Yeah. But we can't put people on hold, meaning when listeners are calling and they want appointments and they need help, we don't want to turn them away. We just have to kind of limit it and try to keep control. So that's why when we do that, we offer it out to help people. We do only five colors at a time.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing I want to stress, end of the year is huge. Because the thing is, as you get older, some of these things aren't as effective. And what I mean by that, the older you get, if you get closer to RMD age, meaning 73, the big thing is we can't do as big of a Roth conversion. We might not be able to affect the taxes as much. We could probably still affect it and help someone.
Okay.
But without coming in, and it will just say, hey, you missed another year. And the thing is, if you keep missing years, it's a big issue. Nick met with someone the other day. It was someone that he met with 2 years ago. He built out a plan, showed him Roth conversions. They didn't do anything for 2 years. They stayed with their old advisor, gave their advisor another chance because the advisor goes, I can do that stuff. For 2 years, the advisor did no Roth conversions. They came in and they're like, it's time. We just have to move. That advisor doesn't plan. But that was the thing that Nick was getting to. Is you got to start doing this planning to give yourself an advantage. It's not about keeping the advisor happy. It's your money. It's your plan. It's about you. And that's why I want to stress to listeners, if you got an advisor that's not doing the planning, find one that is. And don't feel bad about leaving that advisor because it's just going to put you behind. So the thing is take care of yourself is what I want to say. So by doing the planning, you probably can make more of those dreams. Thing is, more money will be in the accounts. Do a few extra things. Give a little bit more to family if you want to. Give a little bit more to charities. But you want to enjoy your retirement. Again, our number, and we do it complimentary, these meetings, 860-854-3434, or visit us online at tfcheckup.com.
Investment advice offered through Tumolo Wealth Management, a Connecticut-registered investment advisor. Content contained herein should not be construed as an offer or solicitation for investment advice or for the purchase or sale of any security, insurance, or other investment product. Please consult with a qualified financial, tax, accounting, or legal professional before implementing any ideas or strategies discussed here.